My name is Daniel Cairns. I'm the Head of Enrolments here at Fourth Rev, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to today's event in collaboration and partnership with LSE Online. Obviously, the topic is one of interest to you. Demystifying data. Is this career path right for me? Today is all about helping you, and good on you for making a decision to take time out of your day to educate yourself furthermore about the opportunities that are available to you. And this will certainly provide some answers to that. And it is your opportunity also to ask a great deal of questions of our panel. So when you do so, please pop them in the Q&A box. We'll be using the chat function for some assets. You're more than welcome to introduce yourself there. But today's also about whether you're looking to take a full career shift into data or looking to future-proof and upskill where you currently are. You'll get insights from people that have used data to launch an AI-powered business, a career changer who's now a data scientist, and from a career coach who's helped hundreds of professionals like yourself make confident and informed career decisions and moves. It's a practical, honest session designed to help you stop second guessing and start planning. So let's explore what we're going to cover today. A quick overview of the agenda, and depending on how many questions, it's a very big audience, so I may get to your questions sooner or answer some of them as we go, but I'll always be looking at that Q&A box. And just so everyone's aware as well, if you haven't received the information yet, at the end of the webinar, I will be providing a special offer for those looking to enrol into the July cohort of the program. But today we're going to cover why data analytics is a career game changer and where it could take you. Secondly, we'll go through, is this the right fit for you? Explore the skills, mindset, and path to pivot or progress your career. How the LSE Data Analytics Career Accelerator can support you as it has done some of our panel. And then we'll host that live Q&A session answering all of your questions along the way. But that's probably a little bit of enough from me for now. I'll come back in a moment, but it does give me great pleasure today to welcome our panel, first and foremost. An esteemed panel, as always, of data and industry experts. And I'll welcome Claire first. Claire, great to see you again, and thank you for your time. If you'd like to introduce yourself, I'd love the audience to know a little bit more about you.
Yes, really nice to be talking to you all today. I spent many years supporting people in their career, whether that's sort of like looking for their next opportunity or sort of developing their career path. But here at Fourth Rev, I work as a career coach, and I love working with our data analytics learners particularly. And also I manage the sort of career coaching team and the sort of provision of support that we give you on the course as well. So really pleased to be here to answer your questions.
Always a delight to hear your insights and have your supportive learner questions. Tim and Elodie, welcome. Elodie
Hi,
was quickest
Daniel.
on the video button there. Welcome. Lovely to see you again, and thank you also for your time, Elodie. A brief introduction for the audience would be highly beneficial.
Yeah, so I'm Elodie Hudson. I did the LSE Data Analytics Career Accelerator, and I graduated exactly 2 years ago. That's when I finished the course. Prior to taking that course, I'd been a science teacher for 16 years and had done various things before that. And the course really was a turning point for me and allowed me to transition into a totally different career in data analytics. So I now work for NHS England as a senior analytical lead. And for the past 6 months, I've been helping out on the Data Analytics Career Accelerator as a facilitator. So I feel I know even more about the course now that I've helped on it, as well as having done it myself. So thanks for the invitation. Very happy to be here.
Always an inspiring story, and I don't know how you fit it all in, Elodie, but thank you. We very much value your continued support and partnership in the Career Accelerator. Tim, welcome once again, and thank you for joining from a different part of the world than most of us. How are you?
Very well, thank you. I'm not using this red, it's the glow of the screen. Yeah, so my name is Tim. I did this Career Accelerator, well, I was in the thick of it this time last year. I live in Hong Kong. But as you can tell, I'm British. And since doing the course, I kind of used what I learned to essentially power one of my lifelong dreams of starting a business. So now I have an AI business, we first started out within marketing, but now we are pivoting a little bit, we're expanding rather, into basically building AI agents for all sorts of different functions in the business. So we're building out HR agents, insurance, recruitment, financial forecasting, etc., etc., etc. So I would not have been able to be where I am and do this, what I'm doing, if I'd not been on that course. So yeah, so I know what you're all going through. I know I will go through, but I can definitely testify that it helped me achieve my dreams. So here I am.
Good on you, Tim. We love our learner success stories, and you're certainly one, as is Elodie. A reminder for everyone, obviously, you've got an amazing opportunity to engage with a panel of highly esteemed people that have experienced what you may or may be considering. So do engage, and it's great to see some questions coming along. But let's start with the big picture. Why data analytics? Why are so many people moving to this space, and why now, I guess? Whether you're switching careers, future-proofing your role, or looking for more career progression, data analytics is proving to be one of the most versatile and in-demand skill sets out there. As you can see, one of the fastest growing fields globally, the rise in demand across sectors. And it's not just more roles, not just in data analyst specific roles. Growing demand is being witnessed across analysts, marketing analysts, insight managers, product managers, and data literate leaders is another one that we see many enrollments for as well. Competitive salaries, even at entry level. Entry level data analysts in the UK can earn between 30 and 40K, while experienced professionals can exceed 70. And for those of you looking to change your career, your transferable skills also put you in a bracket that and a process or demand from employers that is most important to consider as well. So let's ask the audience, what's your primary motivation for exploring data analytics? This is about you, of course, so we want to know more about you and your motivation to potentially change careers, advance your career. Is it your first step in your career, or are you looking for general interest? So if in the chat you could put change if you're looking to change, advance if you're looking to advance your existing data career, put first if you're recently graduated or you're looking for a first role, or general interest in data. Change, advance, first, or general. If you can put that in, we would love to also tailor some of the content of what we go through according to the most popular answer of that. I'd like to dive straight into the panel discussion to better understand these opportunities, or how these opportunities in particular are translating into real career outcomes. Claire, I'll come to you first as the career coach, but from what you're seeing in that career guidance space, I guess, why are data skills becoming so essential, even in roles that traditionally aren't technical?
Yeah, I mean, I think data is just becoming more and more important. I mean, all organizations are wanting to make data-backed decisions. I see that in my role, and like been working for many years now, my ability to use data is like needing to become better and better. And I do sometimes sit there and maybe I could doing at least course 1 of the data analytics program. I'm sure there's better ways that I could be doing what I'm being asked to do. So I think data, we're just seeing data and being able to understand what you need to get from the data, understand the sort of questions and the data that you need to be able to answer those questions, just becoming more and more. And, working with people from lots of different backgrounds, so people in marketing, data is becoming more and more important in marketing, and they often go into marketing data roles. It's just such a growing core skill set. And then of course you've got all the work that people like Tim and Elodie are doing, which is just taking it to that sort of next level, and how data actually can help drive organizations and drive sort of processes as well. So I think a really core skill that I think everyone will need at some level in their careers going forward.
I completely agree, and employers are seeking that leveraging of the impact that data certainly have. I mean, if you think about it, we made a complete shift from data entry some years ago to now analytics and impact for business using those analytics. Tim, I'll come to you yourself now. Your background is in marketing, obviously, as you mentioned. What prompted you to realise you needed to upskill in data analytics, and how did those skills help you launch your business, Nodal?
Yeah, so I was the head of strategy for an agency in Asia. So I basically ran the kind of the insights and strategy function across our 8 markets, major markets. And my history generally was very much kind of getting insight, kind of, read the human element into the insight and then tell a good story. And that's still very important. So that will never not be important. But I also used to get told by my dad, who was a dentist, that if you don't understand people, you don't understand business. And that, again, is absolutely true. But now it's if you don't understand people and data, you don't understand business. And that's been the big shift. So when I was growing up in media agencies and advertising, yeah, you tell a story and you've got a career. Now, when we look at things like even like data analytics and insights into even Google Analytics data, for example, is you cannot now get a career that I had if you don't know data, or if you don't know how to manipulate data, read data, run all these models. It's just not going to happen. So the world's changed around me, and I was very, very hesitant to be left behind, really, and I could feel that happening already. There were people who were in my team who knew more about data than forgot more than I ever knew, really. So I knew that the world was changing. If I didn't change with it, then I would not have a career, basically. And so the stuff that I learned really empowered me to be able to understand the world around me and the change, but also to have the skill set to be ahead of the change and see the change quicker than I would have done if I'd not done this course.
Fantastic. And apply that to your business, which is now predominantly supporting that, obviously, as well. Elodie, in your career experience, you've been involved in hiring data talent, obviously.
Yeah.
From what you've seen, how can building data sets open doors to grow, lead, and make a bigger impact at work?
I think having data analytics in your skill set just opens up an enormous number of doors. And I think the diversity of opportunity in analytics is far broader than I appreciated when I started the course. And I think this is particularly important to appreciate if, like me, you were a little bit older when considering this career change. So I absolutely wasn't going to be suitable for a graduate entry position, but I really didn't know how my other skills were going to fit into it. And I think what I've learned in the last 2 years is that basically every organization in the world needs to know how to use data, and the scale ranges all the way from, a one-person startup like Tim's, all the way up to the NHS, who I work for, that employs, 1.5 million people. So within that, and within the team where I work, there are lots of different levels. And actually the role that I've gone into now is as an analytical lead. So my leadership and management experience that I had before I even started the course has enabled me to come in at a higher level. And I'm basically running analytical projects. So I work with the analysts in my team, and they are the ones on the coalface doing the actual coding in Python and R. But I have enough knowledge and experience of those tools now to be able to guide them. And the analytical skills that I have, which is slightly different to technical skills, also allow me to both work with the technical experts and talk to the stakeholders so that we really understand their needs. So I'm kind of where I wanted to be, which is at the interface between the stakeholder who needs answers and the technical experts who provide those answers. And sometimes those stakeholders don't necessarily know what question it is that they're after. So again, there's a skill in interpreting their ask into a question that can be answered by analysts. So within all of that, there are whole suites of skills that are on top of, I know how to, write some Python code and extract data from a database. There's more to it than that.
Brilliant answers from all of you. Thank you. And a great demonstration of furthermore what the audience can expect. Great to see so many in the audience and so much engagement through your emojis and your comments around changing, advancing or enhancing, and the questions are coming through. So make sure you keep them coming through. We'll get to them promptly after we get through a couple more slides. So if you're still deciding whether this path is right for you, take a moment to sense check where you align with some of these quick fit indicators. You enjoy spotting trends, patterns, or solving problems. You're looking to future-proof your career in an ever-changing digital landscape. You want a career with flexibility, growth, and impact is an important one as well. The amount of impact that you can have in an analyst's role or similar using data is unprecedented, but you're also curious about how decisions are made and want to be part of shaping them. Your ability to demonstrate to prospective employers and once in businesses about the impact that data can have and should have for decision making is an indicator, a skill that so many employers are still seeking. If you're not in along to even one or two of them, then it's a strong sign you're in the right place today. And if that sounds like you, here's the kind of data journey that could be waiting. As we know, we can obviously commence with a starting point. So using Excel reports, operations and project coordination using data, entry-level data analysts, junior BI analysts are common, along with upskilling existing roles, of course. Mid-level, BI analyst, marketing, data analyst, insights, operations analysts, and then we move into things like senior data analysts, analytics manager, data product analysts and the like, and even furthermore, scientists and engineers as well. It is a never-ending opportunity of progression. Suffice to say that you'll never stop learning, and new tools will always be coming along that you can grasp as well. But for Claire, when you're coaching learners, what kinds of strengths or signs help you say, yes, this person is a great fit for a career in data, even if they're unsure themselves?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting question. And I sort of will echo a lot of those points that you've already made, DC. I think one of the ones, that sort of problem solving, so being able to really understand, what is the question that's being asked, and then how can data help answer that question is really key. But also it's the problem solving, when I talk to the learners and they're in there with Python and something's not working, it's actually like being able to go back through that process and work out, okay, what's not quite right? What do I need to do differently? How can I approach this differently as well? So I think that's one of the really sort of key skills. I think data, as you said, and I think as Elodie's also referred to, can be really broad. So I've worked with learners who are wanting to take it in so many different ways as well. So, I have some learners who are really wanting to use data to be able to tell stories and sort of be able to visualize that data and be able to communicate things better to people and stakeholders. And so there's a lot of that data analytical skills, but also that communication skills. And then, there might be people who are really wanting to be in there developing sort of machine learning models for organizations. And so it becomes quite a broad skill set that you're looking for. But overall, I would say, it's the learners who, at points the course can be tough, and I think Tim and Elodie would be better to talk to that. But actually, when you're in a career coaching session with them, they're enjoying what they're doing. It's hard work,
Yes.
but actually, what they're really doing, they're into it, and it really sort of starting to make sense, and they can see like, okay, well now I know that I can now do this, and that ability to have that growth mindset and want to keep growing, because the data world's not going to be staying still. There's always going to be new tools, always going to be new ways that you can use it. So it's wanting to be continuously learning. You're not going to be, Tim and Elodie might disagree with me, but you're not going to be in a data role you think, well, I know everything. There's always that continuous growth, that continuous learning, so that curiosity and that sort of wanting to be out there and understand it more. Those are the sort of people I see can really thrive in the data world.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Elodie, your journey shows that you don't have to start as a data person to become one, but what helped you grow from beginner to now someone leading and mentoring others in the field?
Well, I guess the thing that helped me grow most was the start that I got from doing the course. And the course isn't just about learning the technical skills and the analytical skills, but it's far broader. And part of that offering is working with the career coaches, which is fantastic. And having the cohort of other learners to learn from as well, and just the exposure to so many other people and jobs and possibilities was a huge confidence boost. Since then, I've learned most through the experience that I've had. So I spent just over a year working in a software company, spent a lot of time using SQL and leading a data team. Just in a totally new domain for me. I was working in a software company that sold software to the railway industry. And then since joining the NHS, I knew nothing about healthcare. I've been in that job for 6 months and I'm still learning every single day. There are a lot of acronyms to unpick in the National Health Service. That's just one of them. And on top of that, or rather sort of in between the two, I did take a few other very short courses just to build up skills and knowledge in a few key areas in public health. But there's so much out there to choose from, and this course is just a really solid starting point for launching you on that journey. And I think the fact that Tim and I now do such completely different things is good evidence for that you could really go in any number of directions. And I know people who finish the course with me, they're all doing very different things. But yeah, like you say, Claire, the learning never stops.
Excellent. Tim, over to you, coming from a background with less or no coding experience, as you mentioned earlier. Did you ever worry, I guess, data wouldn't be for you, and what helped shift that mindset? I'm sure it's something that many of our audience are experiencing already as well.
Yes, in short, yes. I am terrible at data numbers. Well, I used to be. Like even, my maths is absolutely horrific. Like 2 and 2 is a 10 for me. But the thing that I learned quite quickly is if you're someone like me who is all kind of big picture strategy story, what I found is the beauty is in the answer that you get from the data. So one of the best things that I really, really enjoyed about the course was the tasks that we had and the assignments that we got were obviously about crunch the data, but the real meat was in the telling the story for a business, right? So the question always was, the business has this problem, interrogate the data and come back to the business with the solution. And I love that. I'm good at that. But so if you, and there's people who are doing the course right now who are in touch with me, and I chat to them sometimes, I say the same thing. The data itself and doing the rigmarole of getting into the information sometimes is tough. The beauty is it's a weapon for you to tell a better story. So if you love the story, then you love the process to get to the story. So if you're very data minded, you might just love the data for the sake of data. If you're like me, who couldn't even string some together, you love the story and you work backwards from the solution and improve your solution, right? So there is many different ways. It's just been said by Elodie to kind of do the same thing. And so someone who is very more creative and artistic, you can still kind of fall in love with the art of the data. Like the art and the science are kind of the same. And I very much did that. I kind of fell in love with the artistry of the data because it told me a better story versus just being stuck in data for the sake of data, which is just horrific for me. So yeah, there's many ways to do it.
I love that, the artistry of data. That should resonate with everyone, because you're right. That's an amazing insight. Thank you. I guess now that we've explored the opportunity and seen how data careers progress, let's get practical, because this is obviously a part a lot of people worry about at times. What does it actually take to move into a data role? Do you need a background in maths or coding, and do you need to quit your job and study full time? The truth is, you need the right combination of skills, mindset, and support, and you don't need to master it all at once. Let's break that down and hear how our panel approached. But hands-on skills in key tools, certainly Excel, SQL, Tableau, Power BI, and Python. R is another one, but you don't need to master them all at once. But knowing how to use data to tell a story, as Tim just mentioned, is critical. The right mindset, not a maths degree. Analytical thinking, problem solving, curiosity, these are as important as technical depth that can be taught. Practical experience, not just theory. Employers, and there's some questions surrounding this that I'll come to later. Employers want to see real projects and applied knowledge, dashboards, stakeholder reporting, forecasting, and impact outcomes. What did it produce? What was the benefit? Support, feedback, and direction. Most people struggle to self-teach this alone. That's why mentorship, structure, and community can make or break your success. Tim, you've made an impressive move from data learner to launching your own AI and data powered marketing business. What were some of the key skills you needed to gain to make that possible in making a true transition?
Yeah, like I said, the ability to tell a good story. Because stories now, emotion is still a key part of any story, but emotion with evidence is now the way that stories are told. So being able to walk into a room with a CMO, a CTO, and a head of IT, and be able to hold your own in 3 different ways to 3 different people. You still need to have the emotional intelligence to understand that this person needs to hear this and that person needs to hear that. But before this, I would have walked into a room and told a fantastic brand story to a CMO, and then the IT person asked me about an API, and I'd be like, I don't know. So, and then your credibility just falls over straight away. So, like I said earlier, it's understanding people and data is the key to any business. The other thing I would say I learned is patience. And the amount of times I tried to run an SQL query and didn't get anywhere, and I was ready to throw my computer out the window. But the pure elation that you get when you get it right, oh, honestly, I can't begin to describe that. So, data is all about patience. Like it's still an applied science in many ways. And the patience that I learned from that, and that's what you mentioned just earlier on around just the explorative like mindset. It's almost like being a kid again. Like just you could want to explore stuff. So when I got to a problem that I couldn't really solve, I was like, okay, and you got it on the screen here, problem solving, curiosity. It's like, right, I've not done this properly. Let me work backwards and find out what it was, and let me try and find out what the problem actually really was. Let me solve my own problems. Because when you walk into a client room and they've got a problem, if you can't solve that problem like that quickly, then again you get caught out quite quickly. So the technical depth is one thing, but again, from my side of things, the way that I kind of see the world is the problem solving and the fun of getting to answer and building a much more rounded version of yourself as well. That's one thing I really took away from it.
Love it. And Elodie, and we're going to get to the questions obviously shortly. I'm going to give an overview of the program in a moment in more depth and that special offer as well. But from your experience as both a learner and a leader and now a facilitator on the LSE program, how important is the practical experience when it comes to making that or a smooth and successful transition into industry?
I think that's what makes the difference between doing a course like this or this particular course and trying to self-teach. You've basically got 4 courses, 3 of which have chunky assignments at the end, which really, as Tim says, you really have the opportunity to get stuck into some problem solving because you're presented with quite open questions and big data sets, big complex data sets where you can apply the skills that you've just learned. So there's 3 assignments offer you the real chance to have practical experience, which you can then showcase in a portfolio. And then the kind of cherry on the top is the employer project at the end, where you get to participate in a team on a real project with real data to answer a real question for an employer. And you'll meet that employer and you have 6 weeks to come up with an answer to, again, what is really a very open question. So you've got the opportunity to apply all the skills that you've learned, use all the tools that you've acquired in the last 6 months, and really get stuck into it. And as a facilitator, it's been a real joy to watch the learners develop over the course of the 6 months. So the course that I've facilitated on has just come to a close last week. And you get to know the learners over that time. And to see them produce really compelling analytical projects at the end of the employer project is just fantastic. And they've all got so much from it, and they've grown in confidence as well as skills over that time. So that really makes a difference. And you don't get that experience if you self-teach with an online course.
Exactly.
Yeah, so just to add to that, yeah, I agree with that completely because when we did our employer project, they don't care about the code. Right? It don't really matter to them. But what they care about is the solution. So this is, again, just to echo what Ella just said, is you would never get that from a self-learning course. A course will tell you the code and that's it and fine. But what we did is we had to sit with the client and explain like why we did what we did, what it means, what's the outcome, what you could do with it, and also how you apply the solution we're giving you. That was the really key bit that you got from this that you don't get anywhere else.
That's interesting, and feedback on that. and I'll let everyone know, and I'll go through the course briefly now, but there's no exams for the dual purpose of instead having a productive outcome to your education through building, you can put together a portfolio along the way, but you also instead apply that learning to that industry project at the end and receive feedback the whole way through. I'm yet to find, I'm sure there's many, but I'm yet to find a program that has an examination process that gives you feedback on the questions you got wrong. That to me would be the most valuable part of the process, but it doesn't occur obviously. So everyone can see that it's a 6-month online program. It's made up of the 3 courses and the applied industry project at the end. Firstly, there's data analytics for business. We designed this content as a true collaboration between industry and LSE. And that's why what employers told us is that they want so much more business focus of the application of data for impact. So even in the course title, data analytics for business, you can see that it's completely business focused. That runs for 6 weeks. And then there's data analytics using Python. That will cover Python. The first course covers SQL and Excel, all the way through. Also, there'll be data visualization, and then the last course is advanced analytics for organizational impact. It's a really, really valuable course before you apply that in a real world project with one of our employer partners. There is a great deal of support for the program as well. I think on the next slide here, I might even go straight to Claire, because one of the key points of the program is the career coaching. It's been mentioned extensively already, but I might just get Claire firstly to explain to the audience, what role do the career services and coaches play in ensuring graduates achieve their intended outcomes?
Yes, thank you. So everyone who's on our course is given a sort of dedicated one-to-one coach, and so this coach is there to support them throughout their time and sort of beyond completing the Career Accelerator. And so the first sort of step that the coach really sort of works with the student on is really understanding what is their career goal, because everyone's got different career goals, and so really understanding what it is that you want to get out of being here, being on the program, and then sort of helping sort of think about what the timescale is and breaking that down sort of to sort of smaller, more manageable sort of milestones. And then through the one-to-one coaching, you start sort of working through what actions do you need to take, what do you need to do, and our approach to the support is much broader than maybe just sort of sharing some sort of CV advice. Of course we do that, and we very much spend time working with people on their CVs and their LinkedIn profile and interview skills, but we also really encourage people just to take that step back, to sort of reflect on themselves. What is it that they really enjoy? What are their really sort of core career values? What are the strengths that they really want to be playing to in their next career move? It's yes, if people are making, and lots of people here are making career changes, there's a lot that you want to change, but really understanding what your strengths are is really important in that change and your transferable skills. So we like to spend quite a bit of time just getting you to really think about where you're starting from and who you are. And then we also are making a career change, and I'm sure Tim and Elodie will attest to this, that it can be a bit of a roller coaster. There can be those real sort of low moments. There's sometimes that moment, like whenever we're making a change, there's fear which stops us from doing things. And so again, from having sort of coaches who are working with you can help you sort of approach some of these sort of sticking points, and like help think a bit with, how am I going to build up my confidence? Because often we get a lot of imposter syndrome, or I'm really stuck with this. I know I should be outreaching, I should be networking with people, but I've got a bit of a block about it. So the coaches can also help around that area. And then, as I've said, sort of very understanding about what needs to be in CVs today, how to really think about how to position your CV for the roles you're interested in, how to maximize LinkedIn and that side to then help you get towards that outcome, if the outcome you're working for is a new job. But we also work with people who aren't necessarily looking for a new job, but how to perform better in their current role as well. And that's, again, very personalised to you as an individual. So you have that career coaching support. Alongside that, we've got a whole sort of online support as well, that you can access at any time, which gives like lots of practical advice. And we run sort of small sort of groups focusing on different topics, which is sort of totally voluntary. You know, there's, you know, you can take as much or as little as you want of that support.
Excellent. And always when, and Tim and Elodie would be recipients of this, whenever we survey completing learners, it's not only the relevance of the content, but the career coaching that is always highlighted as a true benefit. It is a intensive program. It's 15 to 20 hours of, you know, academically and yet practical skills obtained over that period. There is a blend of synchronous and asynchronous delivery, meaning there are live sessions with an industry-based facilitator each week. They are recorded. If it's your birthday, the last thing you want to do is attend a live session, and you can catch it up. But always best to attend live for engagement with your peers, asking questions that are specific to your own learning journey. And then the rest is asynchronous, meaning that it is designed to fit in with you more so than you fitting in with university. Aside from that support as well, it is also now most proudly, and since Tim and Elodie completed the program, now has a postgraduate certificate component, meaning that when you finish the Career Accelerator and hopefully obtain your career outcome, when you're ready, you're able to come back and do a postgraduate certificate capstone project that will award you a level 7 qualification and alumni status with LSE as well. So it's something that we've been working towards for quite some time. It was so warmly received by our graduates, and it is certainly an option that is available in the future when you finish the Career Accelerator. Some of the practical aspects, some of the nuts and bolts of it, the entry criteria is that and I'll tick off some of these questions that are in the Q&A that I'm answering as a part of this, but some of the entry criteria, for example, is that you've completed a bachelor degree containing a quantitative unit of study previously, as it is aimed at postgraduate level and now has that level 7 qualification available as well. But if you haven't got that, but you've got experience, like there is a question relating to this in there, you can meet it with your professional experience as well. The best thing that you could do to find out whether you do meet criteria is if you haven't had a chance yet to book a time with your enrolment advisor. And the link will be in the chat function for that. The cost of the Career Accelerator and the extended coaching, and that, you know, in-depth coaching that would be many thousands of pounds worth of coaching, is £8,850, and there are significant reductions available if you do pay up front. That will bring it down to £7,995. We do want to make it accessible as well, so we do offer interest-free payment plans over 6 months, or an extended payment plan with a finance partner who also offer that extended plan with no interest. There's a £20 application fee. Our partner in StepX can offer an extended payment plan as well. The upcoming intake is commencing in July. Let me just go back to my screen here. And we've got a very special offer before we get to the Q&A. Or in fact, before we do move on, sorry, Sam, if I'm throwing you a little there. But before we get to that, I would like to ask Tim and Elodie a little bit about their experience. I mean, you've touched on it already, but is there anything else either of you would like to add regarding your experience or the impact of the Career Accelerator, framing what I've just gone over?
I can just add a little bit on the course demands and how much time it took, because there was a question in the Q&A. So when it was advertised as 15 to 20 hours a week, when I was thinking about it, in my head, I was thinking, I could probably do it on less, because I had a full-time job as well. But the reality was, it really was 20 hours a week. And actually, if you had more time available, you could easily fill it. But I did combine it with a full-time job, and it was doable with a lot of good planning. And in the 3-week onboarding period that happens before the start of the course, you are supplied with loads of really useful planning tools to help you really think about how you're going to approach doing the course. So there's a lot of support for you when you're on the course. And there will be moments when it gets too much. And again, there are support mechanisms in place to help you out. So you can book sessions with a success manager or a facilitator And all of that really helps people get through the program, because it is chunky. There is real content there, and it requires commitment and application to make the most out of it.
That's a really good point, Elodie. It does. It's intensive. It's academically rigorous as well. And it is a commitment over a 6-month, 7-month period to make a really positive impact in your life and your career. It may involve things like giving up or not starting the next Netflix series for a little while. So talk to your significant other or whoever else may be sharing your Netflix time together, because that's the sort of things where you'll be able to find time in your weekly schedule to fill with study as opposed to entertainment or other things. But there is that impact, and you're quite right, Ali. There's sacrifices to be made. Anything, Tim, before we go, before we move on and we get to audience questions quickly?
Yeah, I'd say the one thing that's not we touched on massively is a sense of community within this, because what we did on my kind of round of people was we all jumped into a WhatsApp group together and kind of comparing notes and asking people for advice, whatever. Then when you get to the actual employer project, you do that as a team. So I think we had a team of 6, I think. And I'm still friends with the people that I was on the course with. So again, we talked about other opportunities and things like self-learning. There's people on my course who have now gone into, other kind of companies and data. But some of the stuff that I've actually built and some of the stuff that I'm continuing to build, I'm still throwing a question to the guys I was on the course with, and they're interested to dig in and as well. So the sense of community, and I mean, I'm sat in Hong Kong, so it's hard for me to kind of see people in person, but I know that the rest of my team, they all went and met and did some kind of stuff together in London. And I came back to the UK about 6 months afterwards, and we all met in the pub and had a chat and everything else. So there is that sense of you're kind of together and you learn from each other, not just from the material. That's actually quite important. That's what, from a long distance away, that's one of the things that kept me motivated, kept me going, is because if I'd sat there by myself just trying to plug through code, I'd just probably have given up. So yeah, that one thing that really it builds around a team and that teamwork. I think that's really, really important. It was for me particularly.
That's good that you mentioned that. We may be apart, but we want our learners to feel together. And in an online environment that's more obviously convenient for many, there are innovations that we put in place, and Claire's, I think, career sprints are certainly opportune for that. The employer partner project obviously enables you to network more deeply, both with industry and your peers. And then those organic things that you mentioned, Tim, of learners staying together post-program, meeting up during, all those sorts of things will help you develop your professional network for life, hopefully, as well, with like-minded individuals and inspiring individuals from all different walks of life. I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to jump to I'm going to jump as a segue to the Jumpstart Advantage package. If you are ready to go or you've spoken with your enrolment advisor, lodge your application and are accepted before the 30th of June, which is fast approaching, obviously, we've got a Jumpstart Advantage package for you. There is the opportunity of reducing the fees by £500. That's not in addition to any of the other discounts or concessions such as the upfront. The upfront would supersede this, but for people on payment plans other than the 24-month payment plan with StepX, there is a £500 concession off the program fee. Priority employer project selection. So we have a number of employer partners that you'll be able to conduct or participate in that employer project at the end. Those that commit to June 30 will get that preference, and you'll get an overview of what those projects will be, and early access to what we just discussed was such a benefit in the alumni network. So connect with past learners such as Elodie and Tim and many, many hundreds of others who've successfully transformed their careers and are now leaders in their fields or have inspiring outcomes to share with you as well. So it's about taking the next steps now. The best thing that you can do if you haven't is to book a time with your enrolment advisor or lodge your application. They can outreach to you if you lodge your application. Speak with those around you as well, surrounding the decision and the sacrifice that you'll need to make to fit those 20 hours a week into your other life priorities, such as work and family and friends and things like that. But also reflect on the reason why you attended and the information that you've obtained today to help you arrive at what is a really important life decision for many of you, as to what to do next and how beneficial data will be in either transforming, transitioning, or accelerating one's career. I'm going to get to some questions, which I always love doing, and I think I've left enough time. We'll skip. I'll come back, and I might even stay on for an extra 10 minutes if the panel have to run. Let's start here. I have experience working with data, but I never finished a business management degree. Am I still able to join the course? Anonymous, absolutely. Book a time with your enrolment advisor. They'll guide you through that using your experience. I think it's 2 years. If you've got more than 2 years of data related experience, aside from a degree or a partially completed completed degree, you'll be able to meet the criteria. Someone's asked here. This is a good one for Claire, actually. Would you recommend the course over joining a company as a trainee data analyst and trying to pick up the skills on the job? I only asked due to the financial cost of the course, and I would say in market it's very expensive. So Claire, what's the benefit of fast tracking one's experience through a program such as this, or doing both potentially?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question, and you can do both. I think it sort of really depends on what point you are in your career as well. But if I sort of talk a bit about some of the sort of career starters we've worked with who have sort of come here to learn the skills and get a job, I think sometimes we've got people who are from the sort of STEM subjects who have done sort of chemistry or physics, but they haven't really had that in that business setting. And so by doing the course, they've been able to use the data in the business setting, build on the skills that they've already got from those skills, and then have been able to sort of actually hit the ground running in a company. And I think what we're seeing in the job market at the moment is the job market's quite tight. And so if there's people out there who have got practical skills and combined with sort of business skills, data skills, they're going to find it easier to get those roles than someone who's got no skills. We've also worked with people who've come from a sort of maybe more of humanities background and actually adding sort of data skills onto that and their ability to do the storytelling as well. So I think the advantage that you've got is that you've got practical examples in your assignments and your employer projects, which will help you get more traction with the companies. And you're actually going to be able to hit the ground running and do the job. They're definitely out there sort of graduate schemes that you can apply for, or those sort of entry schemes, but they're just very competitive as well.
Great points.
Yeah,
as
to
well.
add to this as well, not to be a massive cynic about the workforce, so excuse me if I sound like that. I'm not just saying this as a business owner myself. Don't judge me for saying this. A company paid you to do the job. They don't pay you to teach you. So I spent 15, 16 years in big network companies and agencies. Yeah, there is a little bit now and again when they'll put a bit of development into you, but most companies, most people are worked off their feet anyway. The reason they're employing you is because they're not got staff. So most of the time you'll be expected to go in, know what you're doing, and just go, right? So even when you are in a company, you are more often than not expected to teach yourself and to further your own learning. If it's not bang on to do the job that they're paying you to do, it's not that likely that they'll pay you to then advance your knowledge elsewhere. So again, that sounds quite cynical. Some companies do, some are great, some are really good at training and development, some are, but you're taking a risk that you're going to find a good one. 65% of the time you might find one that's not. So if you're banking on a company to then teach you skills that they don't need to do the exact job they're paying you to do, you're probably not going to find that. So I would say that don't rely on people don't pay you to teach you, they pay you to do stuff for them. So I fell into that gap. I made that mistake 15 years ago, and then I did this because I made that mistake long before that. So yeah, don't expect a company to do that for you. They won't.
It's a good point, and depending on the company, it might be that you're pigeonholed into one task within a department and the scope of learning is minimal. There's some questions that I'll tick off in en masse. The next start date is the 14th of July. The early application incentive completes 30th of June, obviously, and we do limit the amount of placements. We do that for a specific reason, and that is your learning experience, meaning that if we were to open this up to 200 or 300 learners globally, as I'm sure we could, that we would need to have 15 or 20 learners on an industry project team, thus potentially diluting your roles and responsibilities within that team. So we do cap our numbers of candidates along the way. We have scaled that up over time. We've been running this for 4 years now, very, very successfully. But I suggest, if you're interested, that you submit your application promptly to make the most of that price concession and the other benefits that I mentioned a moment ago. So the application deadline, in answer to Yakwin's question, is when the enrolments either fill up or a little while before the start of the course, obviously, to get you onboarded correctly. Someone's asked, is it LSE accredited certificate? Yes, you do receive an LSE certification at the end of the Career Accelerator. And if you come back and do the capstone project, you'll receive a qualification in the form of a postgraduate certificate as well. We've got some AI related questions. Sylvie's asked, will there be another intake this year? Yes, there will be in October. That's the most hectic one in terms of start of the academic year in the UK. You can imagine that is the most popular one, but we certainly host one more this year in October. A few have asked about scholarships. No, we aren't in a position to offer scholarships for the program. However, we do offer those interest-free terms, and there's that £500 concession for your early application. I hope that assists a number of you as well. Lorraine, thank you for everyone's input. This is great to see so many questions. Lorraine works in the urban environment industry and is interested in how data can create better places to live and work. I'm unsure, however, if being a DA or a BA would be better, or if the roles merge. I'd also like to understand if the course fee can be spread over a more affordable, longer amount of time. Lorraine, yes, in answer to your last segment of the question, our finance provider in StepX do offer a 24-month plan with a 10% deposit with no interest subject to that. There's a £20 application fee. I might defer to others regarding the difference between DA and BA regarding urban environment industry. Is anyone keen to take a shot at Lorraine's valid question there? And it does sound like it reminds me of another learner story. I'm just trying to think of who that was, but I'm sure we've had someone do a similar career path. Anyone want to answer?
Yeah,
unsure if DA or BA would be better, or if the roles merge. Go, Tim.
Ella, did you want to go? I'm happy to go for you.
Yeah, I'd say there is going to be quite a lot of overlap. I'm not sure the distinction is real. It just totally depends on the context. I'd say this course is broad enough to cover most types of DA, BA job that are out there. It's a really good foundational course that introduces you to all the relevant tools and skills. What would you say, Tim?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's two sides of the same coin, a little bit, or two sides of the same square, whatever it is. There's also another question that was thrown out earlier on around the difference between data analytics and data engineering. There's been another question that I've just answered around the difference between DA and AI. Like, they're all the same kind of thing. Different nuances, obviously, but if you don't have the base level of understanding of data analytics, you're not going to get anywhere with anything else. So I've done a lot of Google AI conferences and calls and courses afterwards. I've done a few AWS ones, but the stuff they're saying in those courses is kind of advanced. They're talking about different data frames, and if I had not done this course, I'd have sat there and been like, I don't know what anyone's saying in this course. So BA, DA, AI, data engineering. Data engineering is much more around the framing and the piping that people say around, you know, APIs and structure. But you touch on all those different things with this. So we learned about APIs in this course. We learned about SQL structured data. We learned about Python analytics. So, but without structuring the data in SQL first, if you put it into Python, you might not get what because you've not structured it. And if you don't do the API, you don't do the engineer. So it's all, you do get a sense of all of it. And then you can then go into one of the bits you've learned and go, okay, I'm going to go deeper into that. But if you try and jump into AI, it makes it, AI is trying to make it more easier for the consumer. But if you go into Gemini now, for example, and I've done this today, and I said, I want to build this and this and this, give me the code. I tried to run the code in Python, it didn't work. If I didn't know the details of how that code would work in the first place, I'd have just gone, oh, right, well, I'm knackered now. I don't know what do I do next. But because I knew to interrogate, go, actually, no, that bit's not right. There's a bit missing there. Then I knew how to then manipulate that code as well. And also, if you put stuff into AI and you say, build me this, it'll give you the same as give everyone else. If you really, again, like the art and the science, like I said earlier on, the artistry is adding your own touch to it. And this is what I kind of realize is the magic of like adding your own like personality to a bit of code gives you a completely different product. So if you don't know the ins and outs of the underlying data analytics stuff and the coding, you're not going to be able to add your own flair to something that you want to build in the future. You're just going to do what everyone else has got, and what's the point? Then you're obsolete, right? Then you don't have a job. So that's what I say. They're all connected, and you can't have one without the other.
Love it. Love it. Someone's asked for the modules. There is a link in the chat to the brochure that gives you a full overview of the syllabus, the modules that you'll study and the like as well. So feel free to jump in and grab that. Milas has said, I've been working as a researcher for 15 years and feel stuck at director level. All the job postings for higher level have titles like head of data and intelligence. May I get a better chance to be considered for those positions with this certificate? I would suggest absolutely, Milas, and great of you to think that way. There's many senior people that do the program to advance their careers, because obviously at that level, data is driving strategy and business decisions. So, Milas, I think you'd be well positioned with the skills that it obtains, that it provides, and that you'll learn. I know we're running short of time. I am going to keep answering questions, and I'll get through one or two more before I say thank you to Tim, Elodie, and Claire. But if you've got any questions, pop them in. I'm going to answer them all. So list of modules in the brochure, we've done that one. How does the course assist in potentially earning a degree from LSE in data science or an analytics degree? Is it considered? If so, how does it contribute to graduate degree requirements in that area? It doesn't directly, the Career Accelerator. The Career Accelerator does, though, however, enable your entry into the postgraduate certificate in data analytics. And then from there, obviously, once you've got a level 7 qualification under your belt from LSE, that they would look kindly upon that for any other program that you obviously, as a valued alumni, apply for moving forward. But it's not as if the Career Accelerator will give you credits into an undergrad or things like that. This is a certification, not a qualification, until you take the capstone project after you finish that.
Just to come in there, DC, I've also had some learners where a couple who I've supported wanting to make an application to that, one of the sort of masters at LSE. And so they're, we've worked on their sort of personal statement and how they can bring the CA in among the other things that they're needing to sort of evidence on that personal statement as well. So it can form part of the evidence.
Love it.
A couple gone on to do different masters at LSE.
Excellent. Thank you. And that's great that you help them with more than just obviously career outcomes. That's another further study outcome that to have you in their corner would be greatly beneficial. Paloma, when applying for the course, use an academic transcript, previous qualification, work experience, or there is an aptitude test, correct? If most of my professional education background is built environment, architect and landscape architect, focus, I would suggest, Paloma, that you apply the path of least resistance would be your academic transcripts. I'm assuming that contains quantitative units of study in architecture, so you should be fine meeting the entry criteria with that. Obviously, in the application process, you'll upload your CV as well. They'll take that all into account. I'm positive that you would breeze through and be offered a placement promptly. What level of English is required? I don't have it in front of me, but off the top of my head, it's either 7.5 IELTS with nothing under a 7 from memory. So yes, that is a requirement of the program, unless you've worked in an English-speaking company for more than professional environment for more than 5 years. Speak with your enrolment advisor is best. Yes, 2026 we'll be running another 4 presentations of the program. It's usually around February, April, July, and October are the general start dates. It might change year to year, but we run them every year. It's great, Anonymous, whoever put that in, that you're thinking ahead and looking to structure your next year or so. But I do need to thank and I'll keep answering the question, but I do need to take a moment to thank Claire, Tim, and Elodie. Thank you ever so kindly. Your insights are invaluable. I learn from you every time I listen, as I'm sure the audience has on this occasion as well. Your time is valued, but your insights are invaluable for our prospective learners. Thank you guys for your time. And if you have to run, I completely get it.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Daniel.
much.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Tim.
and anyone
Thanks.
feel free to reach out on LinkedIn or anything. I'm happy to answer any questions after this. And I would love to stay on, but I have more work to do, fortunately, running a business. But yeah, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to answer any further questions you may have. But do it,
Yeah,
go for it. Good
likewise.
luck.
I'm also happy to answer questions through LinkedIn. But thanks for having me, Daniel. See you again soon.
Absolute pleasure.
Bye.
Inspiring always, both of you. Thank you.
Bye.
And also for the audience, I'll whip through some of the questions. Good on you though, also, and thank you for sticking around. You've given up, not given up, you've invested, I think is more the appropriate term, that you've invested time in something that will help you clarify the next steps that you may take towards the future of your career, which is a most valuable investment. Is there an additional cost to come back and do the postgraduate capstone project? Yes, there is, but it would be a case of first obviously completing the Career Accelerator and obtaining a mark that enables your entry into that. What day of the time or week are the live sessions? Good question. I don't have that in front of me. Not sure, Sam, if you can ask the question in the background before we finish, but usually they're of a lunchtime. And as I've mentioned, they are recorded so that you can catch them up, watch them again if you miss something, but always best to attend live. I'm just not sure what day of the week this cohort will land on, depending on the availability of the facilitator. How many attendees will there be on the course? We would cap numbers under 150 for this program, as we've done with the previous ones. Some of them obviously sell out ahead of time, but that enables us to have the right amount of coaches supporting you, but also the right amount of industry projects in which you can contribute valuably to. How long is the postgraduate capstone as well? I'll come back to that one in a moment. What have learners gone on to do after completing this course, and do employers generally recognise the certificate as opposed to a university degree? Claire, I think that's a great question. For yourself, you must have, and we see it in our North Star metric channel always, but there's some inspiring outcomes, both learning and obviously mostly career outcomes. Are there any that come to mind that you'd like to share?
I mean, learners have gone on to do very many things, and we've obviously had Tim and Elodie. I've had, so it sort of depends. I've had a learner who's gone on to use her chemical engineering background and now working sort of in some sort of setting up some data models for a petrochemical company. We've had sort of people who've gone on. I've had someone who was very much in sales, and now he's in a sales analytical role for, interestingly, a solicitor's firm who's expanding. I mean, there are so many different outcomes. I think the real value of a program, to answer the second part of this question, though, is that because the assignments and the sort of employer project are really sort of quite practical business based, what that enables us to do is actually get that experience on people's CVs, and in their portfolio and in their LinkedIn. So when employers, you're talking to employers, they can see that you've not just learnt it from an academic background, you've applied that into a business situation. And with the way that sort of companies work in selecting people, actually being able to have that demonstrated in your CV is absolutely key. And so, yeah, so I think it adds more on that way. Anyway, conscious of time.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. But you hit it on the head as well. The whole Career Accelerator model is built for exactly that.
Yeah.
From the time we engage industry around what is it that you need, LSE, let's bring your academic rigor and this together for the benefit of the learner. Too often, obviously, and our whole business is built on the premise that this is education for career impact, not just for knowledge. And there's a big difference with that as well. Does age matter? Zahia, no. I think you've seen one of our panelists and myself, although I haven't done the program, one of our panelists certainly completed this and made a mature age career change, or a career change at a mature age, you wouldn't by any stretch of the imagination be the most mature on the program. Let's put it that way. I want to be delicate how I say that, but great questions are here. No, I think the question you would ask yourself is, in 12 months' time, would you, if you had your time over again, would you wish that you did it? Or would you be thinking, I should have done it? That's something to take away there. Are foreign titles valid? I assume that means in relation to your academic transcripts for application and entry. Absolutely. We have learners from many different parts of the world completing the program. What have learners gone on to do? I think we're out of time. Someone's here. There's one that's just come through. Claire, you might want to look at this one. I've been out of the job market for almost 10 years running my own wellness business. Although I've had corporate jobs before, I worry with such a large gap on my CV. That's not a gap on your CV at all, Claire, but I'll let you answer that question if you would like.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's not a gap on your CV. And I think we would very much, from a career coaching point of view, want to sort of work to actually pull out what have been the skills that you've been using in running that wellness business. How does that relate to the job roles that you're wanting to do, alongside the courses that you're learning on, or the skills that you're learning on the Career Accelerator as well. So it would be about combining all of that. And I think a huge thing would be like, what is it that you are wanting to do by doing this course? And then how can we use the experience that you've got to show you've got the skills for that? And running your business has so many different skills in it. So I really wouldn't call that a gap at all on my CV. You know, it's like vast.
Exactly. And we've had many business owners transition. So you're amongst peers there. Thank you for that question from the audience. But you're amongst peers. There's been some inspiring stories of career owners, especially through COVID and the like, transition into roles. And I think from memory, it might have been a little while ago, but I did host a specific webinar with one of our learners that went through that exactly. So you're best going to our YouTube channel, looking at the playlists, looking at the data analytics learner playlist, and you'll find one in there, I'm sure, that will greatly inspire you as a learner achieved amazing outcomes. The postgraduate certificate is £1,500. That's subject to change, but that also enables your obtainment of LSE alumni and the qualification as well. It is more self-paced than the Career Accelerator. Obviously, the Career Accelerator you're going through as a group to end up at that group project together, whereas the project contains more self-learning and application in the real world as well. Thank you all. I hope that answers all of the questions. Now's about the next step. As I went through that slide earlier, you've made a massive decision and investment in yourself today. You've heard from Claire, you've heard from Tim, Elodie, and myself to hopefully understand and open up what is a realm of possibilities for you. I encourage you to take the next step now. We've got an amazing offer available to you if you do apply before June and are accepted before the end of June. But it's now about that next step and that commitment to yourself. Engage with those around you, reflect on what you've learnt today, and then be in a very, very comfortable place knowing that there's a world of possibilities available to you if you haven't already talked through those possibilities and your dreams with your enrolment advisor. They're there to listen, they're there to learn about you, and they're there to guide your decision-making process as well. Claire, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. I love hearing your insights and your inspiring stories of learners that you've supported along the way.
Okay, we've just got another question in about, is there a Christmas break? The answer is yes, there is a Christmas break if the course is running over the Christmas period.
Yes, correct. If you commence in July, it will, both programs, you'll have a break for the week of the 22nd of December and come back on the 12th of January. So about a 3-week break over the festive period. There is a break, I should say, also for people between each of the courses to enable you to reflect, have a break, start your Netflix series if you need to. But no,
do your career work.
Exactly, do your career work. That's exactly right, Claire. Look, it's an amazing proposition in front of you. It's seen hundreds and hundreds of learners obtain their career outcomes, but also apply learning to their current roles. Obviously, it comes with the full knowledge and support that you've got Claire's team behind you for both during the program and for a period of time following as well, giving you that safety net to learn the career skills whilst you learn the data skills, but then apply them with that ongoing support thereafter. There's a great value proposition in a discount for the fees of £500, early access to alumni, and your choice of project or employer project at the end as well. So there's a compelling offering there. And what the return on investment will be is the sky is the limit. We'll be happier in a career change or an advancement of your career and earning a lot more money. And that's what it's all about in terms of you obtaining your career outcome. We thank you once again. We thank Sam, always in the background, but we look forward to welcoming, supporting, and celebrating your success as we do. Thanks, Claire. Have a great day, everyone.
All right. Bye.